Part 228. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2271. Chapter 2271. She will also be afraid and panic. I encountered something here and got stuck. Mo Shixio's voice became obviously anxious. Sister Lin called me just now and said that there might be something going on at home and asked me to go back immediately. What happened? Luoli, don't lie to me, I'm worried about you. Mom went to look for you. What did she do to find you? Zhang Luli was silent and didn't speak for a while. There was another knock on the door outside, one after another, urgent and violent. Mo Shixio heard another knock on the door. He spoke, with a hint of sullenness and anxiety in his cold voice, Luoli, speak. What did Mom go to find you for? Is there someone knocking on the door outside? What happened? Are you trying to kill me? Zhang Luli never thought of destroying the relationship between Mo Shixio and MRSMO. But now, there are some things that she can't change just because she doesn't want to. Originally, she thought that even if MRSMO didn't like her, she still had the blood of the Mo family in her belly. For the sake of the child, MRSMO couldn't do anything to her. But she was wrong. She still thought MRSMO was too kind. At this point, she had nothing to worry about. No matter what. She needs to protect herself and the baby in her belly. No one can harm their mother and child. Mo Shixio, she knows about your withdrawal from the election. She thought I asked you to do this. Your mother brought a group of bodyguards here. The knocking you heard just now was the bodyguards banging on the door outside. I'm hiding in your study now, and I don't know how long that door can hold up. I don't even know where your mother will let the bodyguards take me, and what she will do to me and the child in my belly. Mo Shixio, to be honest, I'm really scared now. Zhang Luli is not a timid person, but she is really scared now. She thought Mo Shixio would be back soon. But just now, he said that he was stuck in the road, and she suddenly panicked. She is not as bold as she thought. She will also be afraid and panic when something happens. Zhang Luli said, his voice choked up, Mo Shixio, I don't know what I did wrong. Why does your mother think it was me who caused you harm? Tell me, are we really not suitable for each other? Together. Did I really harm you? If you weren't with me, you wouldn't have made the decision to withdraw from the election. So, just like MRSMO said. She is really a broom star. She influenced Mo Shixio's bright future. What nonsense are you talking about? Mo Shixio lowered his voice, Luoli, no matter what Mom tells you, don't take it to heart. Remember, you are my wife, Mo Shixio, and you are with me. Live your life together, not others. I know best whether you are good or not. As I said, everything is decided voluntarily by me. You have not affected me in anything. It doesn't matter what others think of you. You only need to care about what I think of you. You don't think too much and don't worry, I'll be right back. The study door is specially processed. As long as you don't open the door, no one can get in. Just stay inside and wait for me. Wait 10 minutes at most and I will appear next to you. Luoli, do you believe I will protect you and our baby. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2272. Chapter 2272. If you can't accept it, get divorced. No one can hurt you. But, that person is your mother. If it were my mother, she wouldn't be able to hurt you. You are her daughter-in-law, and you are still pregnant with her grandson. Zhang Luli raised a wry smile on his lips. That's true, but when did MRSMO really treat her as her daughter-in-law? Never. After all, in MRSMO's eyes, how could a scheming girl like her from a small family, who deliberately seduced her son and wanted to marry into a wealthy family and change his class, be worthy of being her daughter-in-law. But now, she is doing things to hurt me. Zhang Luli finally understood that no matter what she did, MRSMO was not satisfied with her and was unwilling to recognize her as her daughter-in-law. In the past, because Mo Shixia was good to her, she thought that since she had married into the Mo family and had children from the Mo family, she would live a good life with Mo Shixia. She doesn't care so much about MRSMO. Anyway, as long as MRSMO didn't do anything too extreme, she would tolerate it. Because she fell in love with Mo Shixia and cared about Mo Shixia. So she didn't want to see Mo Shixia caught between her and MRSMO. It doesn't matter if she feels a little wronged herself. But her concession did not change anything. MRSMO's slap woke her up completely. After Zhang Luli figured out some things, he decided not to be stupid anymore. She had thought about it just now. It is true that she likes Mo Shixia, and it is true that she wants to live a good life with him. But if Mo Shixia still sided with MRSMO in the end, she might have no choice but to part ways with him. Now, she is no longer willing to maintain even the superficial harmony. Anyway, she will no longer hide her true views and attitude towards MRSMO. Mo Shixia could accept it and they continued to live their lives. If you can't accept it, get divorced. There is never anyone in this world who cannot live without someone else. She knew very well that if she really divorced Mo Shixia, she would definitely be in pain. Maybe if you don't do it well, you will regret it. After all, she will definitely never meet another man like Mo Shixia in her life. It is probably impossible to find a man even half as good as Mo Shixia. It's not that she doesn't have confidence in herself, it's that men like Mo Shixia are hard to come by, just like luck. How many times can a person get lucky in this life? So, if she had not been forced to do so, she would not have considered divorcing Mo Shixia. I hope he won't disappoint her. Mo Shixia, your mother is doing things to hurt me right now. I can see that she hates me. She feels that I have affected your future, that I am a disaster, and she wants to get rid of me. I originally tried to treat her as a mother-in-law. But now I think it's not necessary. I now understand that no matter what I do, as long as I don't have a good background, I will never get into her eyes. She couldn't be like Xiao Mian, who suddenly had a very impressive background. She is just an ordinary person, with no possibility of counterattack. So, if she did not divorce Mo Shixia, she would probably have to fight with MRSMO for the rest of her life. Luo Li, I will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. I will definitely do what I promised you. But the top priority now is not these things, but that you must protect yourself. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2273. Chapter 2273. She really likes him. You remember, don't go anywhere before I come back. You just stay in the study, got it? Zhang Luli also understood that now was not the time to worry about MRSMO. She took a deep breath, suppressed the resentment and anger in her heart, and responded softly, yes, I understand. Don't be afraid. Mo Shixia comforted him softly, as long as you don't leave the study, they can't get in. And there are bodyguards at home. If anything happens, they will protect you. Anyway, you trust me, nothing bad will happen. Luo Li. Mo Shixia called her name softly, are you willing to believe me? Zhang Luli's nervousness and fear gradually relaxed as he comforted her over and over again. Of course she wanted to believe him. She could only believe him. He is her husband and the person closest to her now. If he can't make her trust him, then their marriage will be meaningless. Well, Mo Shixiu, I believe you. So, he must not disappoint her. Because she really likes him. Wait for me, I'll be back soon. Mo Shixiu hung up the phone. Zhang Luli listened to the disconnection sound coming from his cell phone, looked out the window, and tightened his grip on the phone little by little. Mo Shixiu, you must come back soon. Because I am really scared. She stretched out a hand and slowly covered her already obvious lower abdomen. She lowered her voice and whispered to the baby in her belly, "Baby, mommy will definitely protect you. No one can hurt you. For you, mom, can do anything. Even though the baby in my belly has not been born yet. But Zhang Luli's maternal love has been aroused." The people outside knocked on the door for a while, but when they saw that Zhang Luli didn't respond, they started to break down the door. The sound of bang 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 banging on the door was frightening. Fortunately, as Mo Shixiu said, the study door is specially processed, so it is locked from the inside and cannot be opened from the outside. Even if you break down the door, it won't work. She thought to herself that thanks to Sister Lin's quick reaction, she let her hide in the study. Now she just needs to stay in the study and wait for Mo Shixiu to come back. Mo Shixiu said that he would definitely give her an explanation. At that time, she wanted to see what kind of explanation he was going to give her. Asterisk. Downstairs. Sister Lin was not calm when she heard the banging on the door. She looked at Mo, whose expression was not moved at all, and said anxiously and angrily, "Madam, please stop. If you stop now, it's still too late." Mo sat on the sofa with a serious expression. "I said, Zhang Luli must leave Shixiu." "Madam, why are you trying to separate the eldest young master and the young madam like this? Do you want to see the eldest young master stay single for the rest of his life? The eldest young master finally got married and now has a child. Madam, what else are you dissatisfied with?" Of. Mo raised her head with a cold face. "My son is so outstanding, someone who is worthy of him must be of equal strength to him. Not only does Zhang Luli come from a lowly family, he is also restless, and now he has made Shixiu make an extremely and irrational decision. This kind of woman must not stay with Shixiu. Without her, there will naturally be women who match Shixiu in all aspects and will be with Shixiu in the future. Sister Lin, these things are not your thing to worry about. I know what I am doing. Doing this will only benefit Shixiu, not harm." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2274. Chapter 2274. It turns out he is Mo Shixiu. Sister Lin saw that Mo was so stubborn and knew that she could not persuade her. She just hopes that Mo Shixiu can come back soon and end this farce. "Young master, please come back quickly," Sister Lin prayed silently in her heart. Asterisk. After Mo Shixiu hung up Zhang Luli's phone, he looked at the car accident that had not been dealt with before. He frowned and asked the driver in front of him, "When will this road be opened?" When he was just rushing home, he encountered a car accident. The road was blocked. Mo Shixiu has been stuck in traffic jam for almost 10 minutes. If it were normal times, he wouldn't be in a hurry. But now when he thinks of Zhang Luli who is still waiting for him at home, he becomes uneasy. "Sir, the car in front of us hasn't moved yet. I guess we won't be able to go for a while." "If sir, we can take a detour if we are in a hurry to go home." "Detour, how long does it take to go back through the detour?" "It may take about an hour. The detour is quite far, but there should be no more traffic jams." "1 hour?" She trimmed his eyebrows tightly. "That is definitely not possible." It was impossible for him to let Zhang Luli wait for him for so long, and he himself was not at ease. Mo Shixiu looked at the queue of cars still blocked outside the car window. Without any further hesitation, he took out his mobile phone and made a call. Soon, the call was picked up and a respectful voice came over, "Mr. Minister. I'm stuck on XX Street now. I have to go home immediately. Please make arrangements." After a moment, Mo Shixiu hung up the phone. Less than 5 minutes after he hung up the phone, a police car with its siren roaring drove up next to the Rolls-Royce he was riding in. The police car stopped, and a middle-aged man in uniform got out of the car. With a respectful look on his face, the middle-aged man walked to the door of the rear compartment of the Rolls-Royce. The car window is half open. The man glanced inside the car and saw the people sitting in the car. He immediately bent down, lowered his head, and called out with great respect, "Minister Mo, a car has been arranged for you. Please come with me, Minister Mo car." In the car, Mo Shixiu glanced at the people standing outside the car, and immediately got up and got out of the car. As soon as he got out of the car, several police officers came over to protect him and escorted him into the police car next to him. Mo Shixiu had a special status, and the police station was afraid that he would cause a sensation if someone recognized him after getting out of the car, so they arranged for several people to him into the car. But even so, someone still recognized Mo Shixiu. At over 1.8 meters tall, he is taller than those police officers. Walking together with several police officers, he has the visual effect of standing out from the crowd. Recognized Mo Shixiu from several cars parked next to him. "Hey, that person looks so familiar, as if I've seen him somewhere. Isn't that our Minister of National Security, Mo Shixiu, who is sitting in the Rolls-Royce next to us? It's really Mo Shixiu. Did something happen to him? He looked very anxious." Mo Shi repaired the police car and left through another road. "No wonder we are all stuck here, but he can leave in a police car. It turns out he is Mo Shixiu, I thought, who is so awesome to get such special treatment." Asterisk. At this time, Mo Shixiu, who was sitting in the police car, was no longer blocked by the traffic jam, but his brows were still furrowed. He is not worried that Mo will take Zhang Luli away. As long as Zhang Luli stayed in the study and didn't open the door for them, it was impossible for them to take the person away. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2275. Chapter 2275. Our fate as mother and son ends here. Mo Shixiu was worried that Zhang Luli would be frightened. She is still pregnant. If the child is frightened, something is wrong with the child. Thinking of this, Mo Shixiu clenched his fists. For the first time in his life, he acted unruly. He ordered the driver, "Drive faster." The police officer driving in front immediately replied respectfully, "Yes, Minister Mo." The driver also noticed that he seemed to be in a hurry and immediately increased his speed. After a while, Mo Shixiu raised his wrist and looked at the time. His brows were still furrowed and he urged the driver again, "Hurry up." "But Minister Mo, the speed of the car is already—" "Do as I say." Mo Shixiu interrupted the driver in a deep voice. His tone was strong and left no room for doubt. "Yes. No one can afford to offend a giant Buddha sitting in the car. Do what he says, and the people in the car can only obey his orders unconditionally." The driver raised his eyes and glanced in the rear-view mirror. Seeing the handsome man in the back car with his brows furrowed and an anxious look on his face, he couldn't help but wonder, what happened to Minister Mo? How could he be so anxious? After all, they can only watch Mo Shixiu on TV. The him you see on TV always looks strategizing, calm and indifferent. This is the first time they have seen Mo Shixiu in such a hurry. The driver increased his speed again. Mo Shixiu was anxious. He looked at the buildings passing by outside the car window. He still felt uneasy, so he took out his mobile phone and called Mo. It rang a few times before Mo picked up. "Shixiu, Why did you call me? Is there something wrong? MRSMO on the other side asked, pretending to be confused. Mom, you don't have to pretend to be confused with me. I know everything. Mo Shixia was not polite to MRSMO, and said in a cold voice, I'll just tell you, if anything happens to Luo Li, from now on, our fate as mother and son will be that's it. His words were very serious and ruthless. Madame Mo didn't know if she was shocked. She was silent for a long time before speaking out, are you going to sever ties with your biological mother because of that scheming girl? Shixiu, I thought no matter what you do, you are better than you. My brother is more sensible and will not be bewitched by a woman. It seems that the tricks of these small-scale foxes are indeed extraordinary. Even you can say such things to your biological mother for a woman. I will not let such a terrible woman continue to stay around you. Mrs. Mo's tone was firm, even if you want to sever the relationship between mother and son with me, I will get this woman away from you. I can't let my son be destroyed in the hands of a woman. Hearing what Mrs. Mo said so decisively, Mo Shixiu's eyes darkened and his aura became cold. Several police officers sitting in the car trembled from the cold breath he released. It was winter, and the air conditioner was not turned on in the car. But it's even more freezing than turning on the air conditioner. The moment Mo Shixiu's breath cooled down, no one dared to take a breath. At the same time, they also started a crazy gossip mode in their hearts. Mo Shixiu is calling his mother? Who is the person he calls Luo Li? He was able to say things like severing ties with his biological mother because of this person. This shows that this person must be someone he cares about very much, right? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2276. Chapter 2276, Then give it a try. Could it be that she is a woman? Then you give it a try. Mo Shixiu didn't show any mercy. He spoke every word in a firm and cold tone, I never threaten anyone with lies. I still say the same thing. If Luo Li is because of you, if anything goes wrong, our relationship as mother and son will only end here. Do you really want to sever ties with your biological mother because of a woman? Mo Shixiu, you are unkind, unfaithful, and unfilial. I worked hard for 10 months to conceive you and gave you life. I gave you a superior material life, and I devoted everything I had to raising you. Is this how you treat me? Mo Shixiu listened to Mrs. Mo's accusations with a calm expression on his face. Mom, I don't ask you to care about her as much as I do. Even if you don't like her, you shouldn't hurt her. You know how much she treats me. The important thing is that you did this to her. When you decided to do this, you didn't care about our mother-son relationship. Even if you had the slightest scruple, you would not touch the person I care about. If you don't care, then why should I care? After saying that, before Mrs. Mo could speak, Mo Shixiu hung up the phone first. Asterisk. After Mrs. Mo answered the phone, her face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. She didn't believe that her eldest son, who had been the most obedient, filial, and knowledgeable of etiquette since childhood, would actually say such heartless words to her as severing the relationship between mother and son. And everything is for that woman named Zhang Luli. Before he met that woman, her son was obviously not like this. But why, her two sons became strangers to her after they got married and had their significant other. Mrs. Mo was extremely disappointed. She felt like a failure. Because the two sons she educated were separated from her biological mother because of women. She suffered so much during her pregnancy and gave birth to two sons who now belong to others. Mrs. Mo felt very angry, sad, and powerless. She felt that her efforts had not received a corresponding response, and she was very unwilling. Why did she let other women enjoy the blessings of the sons she had worked so hard to raise before she could enjoy them? Even if those two women are her daughter-in-law in name, it is not allowed. The son is hers. No one can rob her. Mrsmo was completely unaware that her mentality was not normal. Because she had a hard time giving birth to Mo Shixio and Mo Yesi, so secretly, she always felt that the two sons were her private property. Even though she was pampered by Mo Yunchin, she didn't feel satisfied. She wants everyone to pamper her. Especially the two sons she had worked so hard to give birth to, they couldn't disobey her at all. They should regard her as their top priority and be obedient to her. Whether it is Zhang Luli or Chiao Mian Mian, in Mrsmo's heart they are two bad women who stole her son. Mrsmo is still dissatisfied with Chiao Mian Mian, but because of the Bai family, her dissatisfaction has lessened, and she has stopped thinking about Chiao Mian Mian. She doesn't want to make enemies with the Bai family. So now she can only deal with soft persimmons like Zhang Luli. For a small family like the Zhang family, no matter what she does to Zhang Luli, she is not afraid of the Zhang family causing trouble. Mo Shixio's phone call not only failed to make Mrsmo give up her crazy thoughts, but instead completely angered her. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2277. Chapter 2277. Two people are of the same mind. Hearing the banging on the door upstairs, she stood up. With an angry look on his face, he said, "A bunch of trash, haven't you broken down the door after so long?" She walked upstairs angrily. When Sister Lin saw this, she followed her upstairs with a worried look on her face. Asterisk. When I got upstairs, I saw a group of bodyguards standing outside the study, and two bodyguards were banging on the door. The two of them used all their strength, their faces were red, but the study door still didn't move at all. What's going on? There are so many of you, why haven't you opened the door yet? Mrsmo looked at the group of bodyguards standing outside the door with anger on her face. Madam, when the bodyguard saw her, he immediately turned around to salute her and replied in a panic, "This door is quite special. We tried many methods but couldn't open it. The young lady has been staying in the study and refused to come out. We can't do anything." Mrsmo's face darkened. "There's nothing you can do." "Yes, madam, the bodyguard looked at Mrsmo's gloomy face, with cold sweat dripping from her forehead. This door is very strong. We really can't break it open." "A bunch of trash." Mrsmo looked at the group of bodyguards with cold eyes and walked to the door of the study with a sullen face. The door to the study room was closed tightly. Looking inside, I couldn't see anything. Mrsmo's sharp eyes fell on the heavy door. "Zhang Luli, do you think I can't do anything to you just because you are hiding inside? If you have the ability, you will never come out in your life. I tell you, don't think so. Shixiu can protect you. As long as I let you leave him, there is nothing he can do. He is my son, so he will naturally listen to me. Come out now and follow me obediently. Considering that you are pregnant with the blood of our Mo family, I will never treat you badly. If you don't understand the situation clearly, if you insist on going against me, don't blame me for being ruthless to you. You really me off, and when the time comes, you won't get any benefits at all." Mrsmo looked calm on the surface, but she was actually very anxious inside. She said these words just to get Zhang Luli to come out. Mo Shixio just called her and spoke so seriously and absolutely. Mrsmo knows her son well. Her two sons have very similar personalities. Once they decide on something, whether it is a person or an object, it is difficult for them to change their minds. Two people are of the same mind. So of course it was impossible for Mo Shixio to listen to her on this matter. Not only did he not listen to her, he even said something like severing the relationship between mother and son. At this moment, MRSMO felt a little regretful. She felt she was being too impulsive. She was so angry that Mo Shixia withdrew from the election that she lost her mind. At that time, she didn't think about anything or care about anything, so she just rushed over with her people. Now Zhang Luli is hiding in the study and cannot come out, and no one else can get in. When Mo Shixia comes back later, how will she get him away? In the study room, Zhang Luli remained silent, and he didn't know whether he heard MRSMO's words. MRSMO was anxious and said in a fierce voice, "Zhang Luli, if you don't come out, I will have your parents and your brother arrested immediately." There was still no sound coming from the study room. MRSMO was really anxious. The car accident that happened on Mo Shixia's way back was caused by her arrangements. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2278. Chapter 2278. MRSMO has gone completely crazy. She knew very well that the car accident would only delay repair work for 10 or 20 minutes at most. Calculating the time, Mo Shixia will be back soon. MRSMO wanted to get Zhang Luli away, so of course she couldn't wait until Mo Shixia came back. She suddenly glanced at Sister Lin standing behind her, her eyes flashed, and she pulled Sister Lin in front of her. She lowered her voice and ordered, "Sister Lin, go and get her out for me." "What's your relationship with her? Okay, she will definitely listen to you." Sister Lin was not willing, her eyes widened and she said, "Madam, I will not persuade the young lady to come out. You have been in our Mo family for more than 20 years, and Shixiu is the child you have watched grow up. Do you really want that broom star to harm Shixiu? Don't be an old fool. You help this time. If you leave me, I can't do without your benefits." Sister Lin shook her head, "Madam, please stop talking, I will not do this. It is precisely because I watched the young master grow up, and I will not do such a thing to break his heart. Madam, stop it now, don't make any more mistakes." Seeing that Sister Lin was not willing to help at all, MRSMO grabbed her hand angrily. "What on earth do you want to do before you are willing to help me? I will give you money. Will 10 million be enough? This money will be enough for you until you die. Don't worry about wearing it anymore." Sister Lin still shook her head, "Madam, I don't want money. I just want to see the young master be happy." "You old stubborn." MRSMO's face turned green with anger. "If this woman stays by Shixiu's side for a day, Shixiu will not be truly happy." "Madam, you are the stubborn one." Sister Lin raised her head and looked at MRSMO coldly. Her tone was not as polite as before. "What I see is that the eldest young master and the young madam are happier than before. Much happier. In the past, the eldest young master's life was filled with work all day long. Apart from work and work, I couldn't see any happiness in him. He was like a machine that never knew how tired he was, and he lived every day the same boring life. The appearance of the young madam has changed him. The eldest young master is really living his life now. Madam, the eldest young master and the young madam are living a good life, they are really happy. Why do you insist on breaking them up? I gave birth to Shixiu, and I am his biological mother. I know better than anyone else what kind of lifestyle is best for him. I have spent so much time raising him to be such an excellent person, isn't it? In order to let him spend time at home and love each other. MRS. That's enough. Stop talking. I'll ask you one last time, will you help me? MRSMO has completely lost her mind. She is obviously the mistress of the Mo family, but now even a servant is helping me. Looking at that foxy girl. She glared at Sister Lin angrily, gritted her teeth and threatened, "Don't forget, your son works in the Mo family. As long as I say a word, he can be sent home to drink the northwest wind immediately." Do you want to help that foxy girl, or do you want your son? Please think clearly about your future. Sister Lin looked at MRSMO in disbelief. She felt that MRSMO had gone completely crazy. She could no longer see the image of an elegant and noble lady in MRSMO. Now MRSMO is more like the evil mother-in-law in those mother-in-law and daughter-in-law dramas. Just when Sister Lin didn't know what to do, she suddenly heard a burst of footsteps at the top of the stairs. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2279. Chapter 2279, he was actually frightened by his own son. She turned her head and saw a familiar tall figure. Sister Lin was stunned for a moment, with excitement on her face, and she shouted happily, "Mr. Mo Shixia finally came back." Seeing him, Sister Lin seemed to have seen a savior. She immediately turned around and walked to him. "Sir, you are finally back." Mo Shixia's cold gaze fell on MRSMO and a group of bodyguards standing outside the study. There was no warmth in his eyes. Then he withdrew his gaze and lowered his head to look at Sister Lin. "Is the young lady in there?" "Yes." "Is she okay?" "This." Sister Lin said hesitantly, "The young lady has been staying in the study and has not come out, so I don't know." "Sir, please go in and take a look." Mo Shixia nodded and said nothing more. He raised his head and glanced lightly at MRSMO and a group of bodyguards who were still standing outside the study. Just that faint glance had already made the bodyguards so frightened that all of them turned pale with fear. So when Mo Shixia walked over, the bodyguard hurriedly stepped aside. There was no one left to block the door. The man said not a word. Didn't even look very angry. Sometimes, silent anger is more frightening than expressed anger. When Mo Shixia was silent like this, it was really frightening. MRSMO also felt uneasy. But she is different from those bodyguards. The man in front of her is her son. So she has nothing to fear at all. Don't tell me that she hasn't done anything to Zhongluli, that charming girl. Even if you have already taken action, so what? She didn't believe that her son, who was born in 10 months of pregnancy, could still fight with her. MRSMO held her chin up. She was clearly worried, but she still had an arrogant and unforgiving look on her face. "Shixia, you're back. Your speed is much faster than I thought. Why are you in such a hurry? Are you worried about what I will do to Zhongluli when you come back? Since you are back, call her out quickly. I just wanted to take her abroad to have a good baby with good intentions, but she felt like I was going to harm her, so she hid in and refused to come out. I was worried that it wouldn't be safe for her to be alone in there, and that something would happen to her. That's why I asked someone to open the door. I just talked to her, but she didn't say anything. I don't know if something really happened." MRSMO lied without blinking. "Anyway, I didn't do anything to her. She really wanted to. If anything happens, you can't blame me." As soon as MRSMO finished dumping the blame, she felt that the temperature around her suddenly dropped a lot. It was like a cold air enveloped her. The heater was clearly on in the room, and she was wearing thick clothes, but at that moment she felt a chill in her heart. She couldn't help but stretched out her hands to tighten her clothes, raised her head, and met Mo Shixia's cold eyes without any warmth. She was stunned. At this moment, she was actually frightened by her own son. Mo Shixia glanced at her coldly, without saying a word to her. He stretched out his hand and knocked on the door. "Luoli, I'm back. Open the door." Although the door is very strong. But the door had just been hit so hard by those bodyguards, and traces of the smashing could still be seen on the door. Looking at the marks on the door and thinking of what just happened here, Amo Shixio squinted his eyes, and the coldness in his eyes increased. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2280. Chapter 2280. Even if I beat her to death, she would be asking for it. Amo Shixio, is that you? After a while, John Lily's voice came from the study. It's me. Amo Shixio lowered his voice. Look Oli, I'm back. With a click, the door opened. John Lilly didn't care if anyone was standing outside, he threw himself into Amo Shixio's arms and hugged him. Amo Shixio, you are finally back. She raised her head, her eyes were red, and her voice was extremely aggrieved. Amo Shixio was stunned for a moment, then reached out and hugged her gently. She lowered her head and kissed her forehead, looking at her red eyes, her eyes showing distress. Her voice couldn't help softening, and she coaxed her in a low voice, well, don't be afraid, I'm back. I'm here, no one can hurt you. Amo Shixio's gentle eyes fell on her, and he checked her carefully. After making sure that there was nothing wrong with her, he relaxed a little. MRSMO on the side looked at the two people hugging each other like no one else, with a gloomy expression on her face. This foxy girl. While she was still here, she went to her son and threw herself into her arms. If she were not here, she would not be able to tell how this charming girl seduced her son. Seeing Amo Shixio's treasure John Lily, MRSMO felt extremely uncomfortable. She couldn't help but sarcastically said, who are you showing this aggrieved look to? Do you mean to show me that you are wronged? Have you been wronged here? I didn't do anything to you. Don't make trouble in front of Shixio. Amo Shixio hugged John Lily and slowly turned his head. When MRSMO met his eyes, she suddenly fell silent. Amo Shixio had never looked at her with such a cold and unfamiliar look. His glance just now made MRSMO feel guilty all of a sudden. Look Oli, what's going on your face? When I left in the morning, your face was fine. Why is one side of your face swollen like this now? Amo Shixio was asking John Lily, but he was looking at MRSMO. Amo Shixio's voice was very light. It seems that the mood is also very calm. But the faintly beating veins on his forehead and the clenched fists showed his true emotions at this time. At this moment, MRSMO was very sure. If the man in front of her was not her son, I'm afraid she would have been slapped on the face. Aware of this, MRSMO felt angry, sad, and angry. Didn't she just slap that foxy kid? Isn't it normal for a mother-in-law to teach her daughter-in-law a lesson? When she was young, she also suffered injustice from the old lady. How can a daughter-in-law not suffer any grievance at all? John Lily moved her lips, and just when she was about to speak, she heard MRSMO say angrily, I hit her. What's wrong? I'm her mother-in-law, she did something wrong, can't I hit her? Amo Yessie's eyes suddenly turned cold, Mom, did you hit her? Yes, I will beat her. Seeing her son defending such a charming girl like this, MRSMO felt seriously unbalanced and said angrily, it's because of her that your bright future has been ruined. They say it takes a long time to get a wife. Marry Sien, a woman who not only does not help her husband at all, but also harms you. Shouldn't I beat her? Even if I beat her to death, she is asking for it. When she said the word beat to death, the temperature around her had dropped a lot, and it felt as if it was freezing to the extreme for an instant. End of this chapter.